What would you say to someone who's halfway between that way of thinking of, well, it's too good to be true that I could be a writer and make that my profession and monetize that because I love it so much,
Mm.
versus, well, I know other people have already been able to do this successfully. And what if it's just, I need some mindset shifts, or I just need some practical strategies, or I need some support? What if somebody is kind of feeling the devil's advocate like all the time in the back of their mind about this?
Yeah, the first thing I would say is that it's a process. You can't expect yourself to just switch, especially when your primary caregivers, your parents, are the ones who told you this, that, we have these cultural ideas of like the starving artist, and it's just gets really deep into our nervous system, the fear of that. And I have a great mentor who will say, they're publishers and they're in the business of acquiring books and then selling them. So it's not writing a book is not like winning the lottery. It's not like trying to fly. Like it's an actual thing that people are looking for books in order to publish them. So it's not crazy to want to write a book and to earn money from it. So we kind of have to like talk to the logical part of our mind and like ease it towards those steps, but also understand that when there's fear involved, that basically the conscious mind will just kind of self-sabotage. So we kind of have to
Mhm.
like do little baby steps and then be like, for me, a lot of it was like, okay, I'll give it 3 months to this novel and I'll just see if I can finish it. And then I did. And then it was like, okay, well, let me give it another 3 months to revise it. And so it was just like, I wouldn't have accomplished what I did if I had known it would take so long, but only by like giving myself kind of one step at a time and then seeing what would happen and then getting comfortable with it. It's kind of like going into like a yoga stretch where it's like you ease in to where it's a little bit uncomfortable and then you stay there. And then once it's too comfortable, then you go a little bit deeper. And so
Mm.
that's really how we rewire that part of our brain that says this isn't possible. It
Mhm.
definitely is. And then one other example that I wanted to give, just because I know you mentioned your personal experience and like it sounds very similar to mine, where it's like our parents just taught us a certain way. There are other people whose parents are artists and who are surrounded by that. And they're basically just exposed to a different path where they understand, as a child, like if my dad was like a playwright and 1 month we made a ton of money and then the next month we made almost nothing. And like there was just that up and down. Because I think I read like a filmmaker talking about this, how he just knew from a young age that it was the life of an artist was chaotic like that, but that's what his parents were doing. And so if he has a down month, he's not going to be like, the ceiling's falling in,
Mm.
everything's terrible. He's just like, oh, it's just a down month and then the next one will be up. And so, yeah, I think the more we can understand that success doesn't need to look like a steady paycheck or like the exact same number coming in each month, but can get more comfortable with like the highs and lows, and that that's a legitimate path
Mhm.
to be doing as a career.
Yeah, yeah. And I think, just looking back on my own kind of evolution and thinking of how difficult it used to be to write things for myself, or to express myself, or to put things out into the world and have people see them. I
Mhm.
think there's sort of this push and pull between the rational part of our brain and the more emotional side, that we try to, at least for me, I would try to logic my way into or out of things. And then when I
Yeah.
had this resistance, which I now know was my nervous system trying to protect me, I would just think that my willpower could just get me through,
Mhm,
or I could just
mhm.
like force myself to do things, or that if I was determined enough and if I tried hard enough, I would just break through the things and then maybe they wouldn't be so scary. I see this a lot in writers who do want to write as a business. They
Mm.
tend to focus on the tactical things, the strategical things, the actions they need to take. They're used to just kind of throwing themselves at things and being very type A, very diligent. And they're not necessarily thinking about what the subconscious is doing. So it's like their wheels are spinning, but they're not actually moving anywhere. And then I come in and say, well, I'm sensing some resistance here. I'm sensing that you don't really feel good about the actions that you're taking, or that there's some fear, there's some resistance, friction. And so then we start to kind of uncover what else is going on. What is this bringing up for them? What is their brain kind of doing in the background that they're not necessarily conscious of? And then we realize, like, it's the anchor. Like, the anchor is like pulling them down. And so it
Yeah.
doesn't matter how much wind is in the sail, because they will just stay where they are. Or maybe they'll move just very, very slowly. But then you realize that is lifting up the anchor that is going to benefit them the most. So how can we address that?